Would you like to introduce your name, year, course, and university?
So I'm Chrissy, and I am currently studying Integrative Counseling and Psychotherapy Masters at the University of Roehampton in London.
Would you like to tell us your hometown?
My hometown is actually Birmingham, so I moved to London just for studies.
Why you chose your course?
I chose it because it was something that I thought about when I was doing like my undergrad. I did my undergrad in psychology, and I looked at like all the different areas of psychology you can go into, and the ones that stood out to me was either counseling or sports and exercise psychology. So I originally was going to do sports and exercise psychology until I found myself just more intrigued by counseling instead, and it felt like home and it felt more relatable, and it just kind of felt like my purpose. Um, Cliche, but it really did feel like my calling. And so I came to third year and we had a module for counseling, and I picked it as one of my optional modules, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I pursued it and decided that I wanted to become a counselor. So there's many options, there's many like routes to get to becoming a counselor, but the only route I knew of was taking a master's and getting your master's degree and then becoming a counselor. Now I've started like a YouTube channel. I know that there's like lots of other ways to get there. So that's kind of what drew me to it. I just felt naturally drawn to it. And so I've kind of stayed on that path since about second year of my undergrad.
And what have you thought of your course so far?
So far, the course is pretty much what I expected, because after I did my undergrad, I did what's called as a level 3 counseling skills diploma for 1 year, just before the pandemic started. So during that course, like I got a taste, an idea of like what to expect. And the first year has been pretty similar to that course. So, but the workload has been a bit more intense, of course, a bit more theory heavy and stuff like that, a bigger group of people to work with, more personalities to work with, more pressure, more assignments. So it's been good. It hasn't stressed me out though, because I'm kind of organized. So it hasn't stressed me out, but I've enjoyed the course so far. Like, I think the only issues with the course is more things to do with the uni and admin side of things, but the course itself has been pretty organized. And we've had like a lot of new teachers, and at the same time we obviously were disrupted by strikes at the start of the year, but besides that, like, it's been actually really good and I've learned a lot from it.
If we go into your undergrad and we talk about the best A-levels slash subjects are, what do you think the best A-levels slash subjects are would be for your undergrad and or master's course?
So for my undergrad, I did psychology, and then for my A-levels, I did psychology, applied business, sociology, and philosophy and ethics. So I think the best subjects for like a psychology, which is obviously social science, the best kind of A-levels to do would be something within the social sciences. Obviously, having a psychology A-level would be a big boost. So I'd highly recommend obviously doing a psychology A-level. But then your other A-levels don't necessarily have to be related to social sciences, but if they are, that's still an extra bonus, and it will kind of open your eyes to other areas of social sciences, not just psychology. Like sociology opened my eyes to a lot of things that I never really thought about in terms of social construct and Marxism and stuff like that, concepts we don't really hear about in psychology. So even then, doing other social sciences can help you to be a bit more, can boost you up and help you to be a bit more open-minded when you go to university in terms of the things you want to do after your degree.
If we start first with the undergrad, then the masters, all the best and worst things about studying at your university when you were studying your undergrad, starting off with the worst. Could you remind us of where you studied your undergrad?
Actually, I did my undergrad at De Montfort University in Leicester.
And studying at Dimmock University in Leicester, what are the worst things about studying there?
I think one of the worst things was what was one of the worst things?
If you've got nothing bad to say, that's good too.
I mean, I personally was a very close person. I wasn't too like involved with. I came for education, and that's what I got. But I think if I had to speak on in general, like in terms of the city itself is not very vibrant. I think that's probably one of the worst things. It's not the most vibrant city. So it literally is like a little village. Everything is nearby, everything is close by, which is a pro. But I mean, the only reason it's a lively city is because of the students. So the nightlife is good because of the students. The social life is good because of the students. And without that, the city is very boring. So if you choose to like get a job after or live there during like summertime, if you're an international student, it's quite boring. It's not like London where you can like go to the London Eye or go to that area of London, go to a carnival here, go to a carnival there. Like it's very quiet, very homely, very villagey. And I'd say that's probably one of the worst things about it. And because of that, we don't really get to see or mix with like the residents of Leicester. It's just like students. Not that it's a bad thing per se, but yeah, you don't really know anything else outside of you. Yeah, you don't know anything outside of the university campus, because all you know is your student accommodations outside of the campus and the campus itself and the town centre, and that's it.
Okay. And the best thing, what's the thing there?
The best thing about it, I think for me was, I think the facilities were really good, as well as the way the campus is set up, that everything is nearby. So I remember like my first year accommodation was literally across the road from one of my lecture buildings, two of my lecture buildings actually. The facilities in terms of like the library was like open 24 hours a day, like no matter what season, not just exam season, it was like 24 hours a day throughout all year round, even on holidays. I think they only closed for like Christmas Day and stuff, but that was really good. And you could learn from media equipment, you could rent out private rooms for work. And there was a lot of opportunities. And there was like a scheme called DMU Global, where you can go on a trip abroad, funded by the university, mostly funded by the university. So I remember I went to Russia, I think in my second year of uni, because of that. So it's like you have the opportunity to travel abroad, and I don't think every university offers that. So I think those were like some really, really good facilities and schemes that they had to help the students like gain as much as they can from their experience at uni.
And your masters, the best and worst things? Start off with the worst. So
my
far,
masters,
obviously.
The worst thing about my masters so far has probably got to be like I guess two things: finances and the separation of the campuses. The campuses are very like far apart, and I don't like that. That's part of the reason why I went to DMU, because it's a campus-based university. I don't like universities that are split apart. So my campus is very far. It's like 10-minute walk, no, 20-minute walk from the main campus. And then the other campus is behind the main campus is even behind the campus that you see at the front of the university when you arrive. And I didn't know that. So it's very discombobulated for my liking. I don't like it. And I think finances as well, just a master's in general, not that it's the fault of the uni, but at the moment, the government only gives you about 11K for a master's, and it's okay if you're just studying for 1 year, but if you're studying for 3 years like me, that's not very helpful at all. So yeah, finances like are very strained.
Are there any good things?
The good thing, I think for me, I haven't really experienced much of the student life or whatever they call it, because I'm a master's student now. I'm past that. But I think from what I've seen, like especially like on open days, on my open day and stuff, it's very diverse. So you'll get to meet like a wide range of people from different places and different walks of life, especially on my master's course, where a lot of people are in their 40s, 30s, 50s. you get to meet so many different kinds of people. And I like that the university is very diverse and they do a good job of trying to be inclusive. I think for me, what I really liked
But just give us like a brief description. Oh, I'll let you talk.
What I really liked was, I think what made it enjoyable was the fact that I was living with 4 other girls and they were all pretty clean and nice, and everyone was respectful of each other. We didn't have like any issues, any arguments, any problems. We had like cleaning duties and it was pretty neat. And obviously being a first year student, it's like your first time away from home. So everything was like nice. There was nothing to complain about. Like having my own space was nice. Being able to see my friends whenever I wanted was nice. And like I said, mine was literally on campus, like literally across the road was one of the lecture buildings. Further up the road was another lecture building. It was very much embedded into the university campus. So like if you're late to lecture, like that's on you because it's literally on campus.
Yeah,
so I think that was like a big benefit as well.
And your second year?
My second year, I lived behind the campus, like the was it the union building, like the campus student building. I lived behind that, so it was still on campus, but just like the other side of the campus. So it wasn't far. I literally moved like 2 minutes away. And I lived with my friends and one other girl, which was a bit more difficult. But this place was nicer, like it was bigger, it was a little bit more expensive. It was nice in the sense that it was like a double bed, bigger room, bigger kitchen. But the downside is that like the maintenance.
Is this student halls?
Yeah, it was still student halls, yeah.
What was it called?
It was called Evans Student Living.
Okay.
So
it was a bit better than student village.
It was better in terms of how it looked and like the setup of it, but the maintenance team was terrible. So if something broke, like the lift broke all the time and it would take them forever to fix it, and we lived on the top floor. So that was a nightmare. The reception staff were quite rude, never really friendly, never kind. And then I think in the last few months that we were meant to be staying there, like around exam season, they lied to us and told us that they had to move us out because there was like a problem. They had to replace the roof, when in actual fact, they just wanted to add like 3 extra floors to the building so they couldn't have us live there while they were doing extra building work. So they lied to us and told us we had to move out because of that. So they tried to compensate us financially and they moved us into like really, really nice, like expensive studios. So we all had our own studios, like that hadn't been lived in before. They were brand new, which was nice, but it was inconvenient because it was literally exam season. Like you can't ask, and it was really far from campus. It was like a 20-minute walk from campus. So it was really, really far as well. So going to the library was long as well. But it was just a nice place to live, but the service around it wasn't great.
And your third year?
Third year, I was sick of people and sick of university, so I moved into a private studio. It was like just a bit more estate agent, but they catered to students as well. So I didn't have anything to do with the student halls for the final year. I was like, got my own little studio, lived by myself. It was peaceful. It was lovely. I even had a balcony and I loved it.
So if we compare living in a studio in a student accommodation versus living in a private studio, could you kind of give like benefits, downsides?
So a private studio versus a student one.
Yeah.
I guess the student one, I guess, is like one of those where everything is included. So you had like a downstairs study, a downstairs laundry, and obviously we had like maintenance coming over whenever we needed something fixed, and all your bills were inclusive. But in a private one, like without the uni, it was not all bills were included, and you had to like pay for your own Wi-Fi. I didn't because I used like the Wi-Fi of the building, but anyways, we're not gonna get into that. But so it's like not all bills are included, and then obviously if you had like maintenance issues, I didn't have any maintenance issues because like I'm organized, but let's say if I did, I think it would have taken really long for them to fix stuff. And so it's good in that. Those are the only things I can think of.
That's all right. And now in your master's, Are you still staying in a student accommodation, a privately owned thing, or at home?
Unfortunately, I'm staying in student halls again, because that's the cheapest thing I could find in a city called London, where everything is expensive. That's the cheapest I could find, was like a student hall, and I'm sharing with 8 other girls. Um, but the kitchen is humongous. We've got like, I think like 4 or 5 fridges, like 2 sinks, 2 hobs, big island, big table, sofas in the kitchen. So it's not like it's cramped. There's enough space. Like my room is pretty much the same size as the room I had in first year of uni in my undergrad. It's just that we've got a bigger kitchen and bigger facilities to share between all of us. Um, so yeah, but it's very pricey for what you get.
You talked about, if we go again, undergrad first, about being kind of De Montfort being a very small town, not very lively about the students. Is there anything else you think a student should prepare for if they're looking to study at De Montfort when looking at the area, such as maybe shopping? You talked about the nightlife briefly. Is the nightlife lively even with students there, or is it just because of the students it's lively? Like just being a student in the area, other than what you said already, is there anything else you could add to it?
I'd say shopping is pretty easy. Obviously now things have changed a bit. There's more like deliveries that you can just do, like they can bring deliveries to your campus, so it's not as bad. But De Montfort University, they've got literally like a little Tesco. There's a lot of Tesco's around. There's little Tesco, big Tesco, that's what we called it when we were there. Like a big Tesco, little Tesco, which are both walking distance from campus, like 5 minutes. And then there's a little further down, but that little also has student accommodation above it, so it's like you've got shops everywhere where there's students. And then there's a gym further down, which is near another set of student accommodation as well. So it's like a lot further from the campus, but it's still within the student vicinity because there's still lots of student accommodation as you go away from the campus. So there's pure gym there that you can go to. The train station and the coach station are quite far. The coach station is like in just outside of the town. So from campus, it's probably about a 10-minute walk, depending on which route you take. Train station is like opposite direction, 20-minute walk. And there's a lot of restaurants, a lot of food places, because we are kind of merged with the town. We're like right next to the town. So once you leave the campus, you're basically in town anyway. One thing though, if you do drive in Leicester, everything is like one way, and so you can't really drive. So it takes a lot longer to drive some places than it does to walk. It's quicker to walk than to drive sometimes in Leicester. That's the only thing, like I say, the downside. Like if you do plan to drive, it's probably going to be easier to walk places. And the nightlife is quite good because there's a lot of clubs that cater to different people. There's clubs that are specifically like for, there's like one called Mosh, which I love. Some of the others are a bit more mixed and inclusive. And then you've got just like restaurants literally everywhere. Same for shopping. I think it's called, I forgot what it's called, Highfield or something, shopping center. They've got everything in there pretty much that you'd want. Not a lot of designer, but you're a student. I don't know how you can afford designer, but they've got a bit of everything. So there is enough for you to like enjoy, but there's not enough that you have so much to explore.
And if we go into now you're living in the London area, what is it like living as in for a student?
Specifically, my university is quite far from, I guess, not the rest of London, but it's far from any kind of liveliness because it's kind of not in a suburban area, but it's in an area that's a bit more residential. Yeah, it's a bit more residential. So to go to Central, you get one train, which is like 15 to 25 minutes to get to Central London. So if you do want to have like a nightlife, go clubbing and stuff, be prepared to either take trains late at night or get Uber, most likely an Uber, because we're so far from Central that some of our trains stop running a bit earlier than other places. So you'll probably be prepared to like spend a lot on Ubers if you're going to be like planning on going out far out in London, like Shoreditch, wherever you may be going. You'll have to travel to really have a good nightlife because we don't have anything local to us.
Okay. What general advice would you give to students wanting to study at university?
I would say be prepared for obviously the university work, because a lot of students are surprised when, oh, I've got an assignment due, oh, I've got a presentation to do. It's like, well, yeah, you came to university. It's just you're there to study. Like, don't forget that you're gonna have assignments, you're gonna have work to do. That's what you're there for. You're not getting your degree like by just attending lectures. So don't like come with the mentality that I'm actually going to do some work and I'm actually going to go to the library once in a while, or whatever it is your study of your way of studying is. Be prepared to actually do some work, because I really found it baffling when people complained about doing work, and I'm like, well, it's a degree, what did you expect? Like, from doing A levels to doing a degree, I found it even easier to transition from. I felt like my degree was a lot easier than the A levels I did. So I would say, like, just get on with your work. Don't come and think that it's gonna, of course, I think first year was definitely a breeze. It was easy, lots of free time, like you're chilling with your friends a lot, you're hanging out, like you have an assignment to do here and there. But once you get your work out of the way, like you can chill. It's not worth failing, because when it comes to graduation and your friends are graduating, you've got to repeat a year. It's not fun, it's not nice. So just kind of put your head down and focus when you have to focus, and you can still enjoy like your 4 months of summer, because uni finishes in like early like May, June, and then you've got to wait all the way till October to start again. So just put your head down and focus. And I would say, like, explore, try things, like as much as you might be scared, still try things, because it's always nicer to say I tried it and I didn't like it than, oh, I wish I tried it. So don't be afraid to like go to join societies. If you don't like it, it's not like you have to stay. Just go once or twice. If you don't like it, you might be surprised. Say hi to people. Take opportunities that the university offers that not everyone talks about, like DMU Global. Not a lot of people used it because they probably didn't even know about it, or they thought it was expensive. But find out what schemes your university has, opportunities that they have for volunteering. Use your summer holidays to volunteer if you can. I wish I had, and I probably would be a lot further than where I am now if I had used my summer holidays for like volunteering or getting work experience. Find out if you can do placement. Find out from your lecturers like what kind of stuff you can do to get ahead in your career. Like if you know what career you want to get into, speak to your lecturers, have a meeting with your tutors, ask them like, what can I do to prepare for like the working world? If you know like there's a really nice lecturer, a really nice tutor that's willing to sit down with you and just talk to you for like 10-20 minutes, speak to them, because that's what they're there for. Don't be afraid to ask them, because even now I can still message some of my tutors and ask them for advice, and they will reply to my emails because they remember me for meeting up with them back in the day. So don't necessarily just don't think that it's all down to you. Like ask the people that your lecturers are experts in their field most of the time, so they know what they're talking about. So if you can, don't be afraid to ask them like for help and stuff.
Okay. What advice would you give to students who are curious about what is want to study at the Montfort University?
Students who are curious about studying at De Montfort University.
Yeah. What advice would you give to them before starting?
I would say probably have everything ready, obviously, in terms of like furniture, clothing, whatever, have that ready. But also, I say attend your, I know no one likes to attend what's it called, like your first week of uni, where it's like introductions and icebreakers and stuff. No one likes that. But I actually found that's where I made some of my like best friends from uni. So go there, because it's like the most time, like kind of time that you get to interact with people in lectures, because you do icebreakers and stuff, and that's where you'll be surprised that you'll actually get to meet people, and having people on your course that you know is so helpful. So I'd say also mentally prepare yourself and budget well ahead of time. Don't slash your student loan. Like try to budget before, like you already probably know how much exactly you're going to get from student finance. So if you already know that, try to budget ahead of time instead of splashing your money on like nights out and going shopping and stuff, because we all did that and we all regretted it. So take it from us. Like don't just splash like the rest of it just because you've paid your rent. And I'd probably say like all the things that you probably didn't get to do at home, maybe like start doing now. So if you ever wanted to go to the gym and you didn't get to do it at home, do it now. If you can do your driving lessons over the weekend, do it then. Like, don't just kind of wait for things to pop up. Think ahead about all the things you want to achieve and get them done while you're away from home, away from like pressures and people telling you what to do and your parents telling you what to do. And also like just prepare yourself in a good way also, like keep yourself safe. Don't be reckless like with everything. Like, it's good to try new things, but don't be reckless. And remember why you're there. I like the idea of having a vision board just to keep me like motivated and to keep my mind focused on what I want to achieve. So yeah, I'd say like get to know your surrounding. Like when you get there, like on your first week or two, walk around, get to know where all the shops are, where the gym is, where the train station is, wherever things are. Just get to know your area and get to know where your lecture buildings are and stuff like that. If you can beforehand, walk around the campus and get to explore where the parks are, where all the restaurants and stuff is, and the library, how to navigate your way around the library, find out how to use facilities in the library, a printer, borrowing laptops, things like that. Find out how to use that kind of stuff before uni starts, if you can.
Okay, and finally, what advice would you give to students who want to study a master's?
Save up lots and lots and lots of money. Try and win the lottery, because it's expensive, especially in London. Because, like I said, if your master's is 1 year and you get 11K loan from the government, you'll probably be fine financially. But if it's 2 years or 3 years like me, you'll definitely need to top it up with your own money or money from somewhere else. So I would say, if you know that you haven't got any other money except student finance, it might be best to like either find a part-time job that pays really well or stay home for a year and save up if you can for your master's, because it is very, very expensive. And you know, like my course has a lot of extra expensive like personal therapy, supervision, travel expenses and stuff like that, insurance. I have to pay for like BACP membership. I have so much to pay for on top of just tuition and my rent, which I have to do with a part-time job. And you don't want to spend all your extra time just working. So it's like you have uni and then you work, and that's like your whole 3 years gone. So I'd say for master students, definitely prepare like financially. And I think the workload is not too heavy, but if you get your work done, like if you know you've got an assignment coming up in a month or two, if you just put your head down and start it, you'll be fine. And just because you're a master student doesn't mean you can't go to your lecturers and ask for help. Ask for help wherever you can get it. Those are like the main. I mean, the master itself is pretty much just like a normal degree, just a bit more work, a bit more reading, a bit more intentionality with studying independently. So just be prepared for that in terms of your timetable. Don't assume that you can spend hours doing nothing or chilling or enjoying, I guess, like a student life. You're going to have to like put your head down and focus a bit more than you did in your undergrad, but definitely save up a lot of money if you need it.
You chose going to university over an apprenticeship, so that's going right into work. What path you to make that choice?
I think for me, it was just not knowing the options I had. I could have actually just done a diploma, which would have probably been a lot cheaper, but I didn't even know that option was available to me until like a few months ago, and I've already started my master's. So I think that's literally the only reason I chose it, is because even in uni at DMU, the lecturer that we had for counseling, the counseling module, she studied in America, so she didn't even know like the full process for studying to be a counselor in the UK. So when I asked her, like she was very clueless. So I kind of had to just find the route, and the only route I found was doing a master's. Otherwise, if I'd known, I probably would have done something else that's a bit cheaper, more affordable, which is a diploma in this case.
When you were at university, going from undergrad to where you are now, do you feel like you've changed and or grown while at university?
Yeah, definitely.
So like what for students who are curious of what it's like, what would they go through, or what have you gone through as personal, like what things have either affected you, or how do you think you've changed from starting university to getting where you are now?
I think one thing that changes a lot is your understanding and view of friendships. You'll probably go through a hell of a lot of friendships from undergrads to masters, or just undergrad in general. Like, it's probably the place where you won't probably make lifelong friends, but in the process, you'll probably meet a lot of different personalities, amazing personalities, rubbish personalities, and you might get hurt here and there from that, but be open to, and I think one thing that opened my eyes is that people are not raised the same way as you. You come to university from this very closed world of, oh, everyone is raised like me and everyone's the same as me. You come to uni, you see some people don't know how to cook, don't know how to iron, don't have manners. They grew up like, with aunties and uncles. They didn't grow up with their parents, or they grew up with their grandparents. You realize people are so different, and you learn a lot within friendships. Some people are users, some people are manipulators, some people are the kindest people in the world. And you come across so many different personalities, and you really do grow from having friends be good to you, betray you, and everything in between. I did learn a lot about friendships, and in the process of that, I learned about myself. Um, like, I think just being aware of not just the good parts of me, but the bad parts of me has kind of helped me to be a better friend and a better person in general. And also, for the people that come to uni, like expecting like a uni wife or a uni husband, please don't, because that's, first of all, it's not what you're there for. But if you end up in a long-term relationship, great. If you don't, that's also great. Like, don't feel like it's not great if you don't get a relationship out of uni, because it'll happen when it's meant to happen. So there's also that. And I learned a lot about, obviously, the working world. Nothing at university can truly prepare you for the working world and how hard life is after uni. I think for me, what I learned was I loved my own freedom and my own space, not necessarily because I was reckless or because I wanted to do wildness. I just like having my own space. I like my own peace and quiet. Coming home after uni was probably one of the worst times of my life. Moving back home, I think for a lot, even just a lot of my friends who talked about how our mental health was affected by having to move back home to a place where you're being told what to do, you're being given a curfew, you're being redirected, and you're being treated like a child again. Meanwhile, you've grown as a person and you have to come home to like an environment that's stifling and repressing. It's not very nice. So I would say, like, be prepared for that. Like, if you don't save up to move out, or you don't get an amazing job straight after uni, chances are you're gonna have to go back home. And for some people, going home is great, but for a lot of people, I think they struggle to go back home when you know you yourself are not the same person that you were when you left. And yet your parents still see you the same way that you left as an 18-year-old when you're not the same. So I think I grew a lot in that sense, where I learned a lot about myself, and going back home was like, oh, I'm not prepared to be treated like I was when I left. Because I think I learned as well to just appreciate my family a lot more, because when I was leaving for uni, I was so happy to get away from them. When I came back, I was a lot more appreciative and a lot more mature. And my view of money changed a lot. I realized how hard it is to just budget, do your own shopping, do your own cooking, taking care of yourself, your own space, your own time, money management, time management, all of that. I learned a lot that it helped me to grow up very quickly, and to kind of appreciate how much my parents have been doing this for years and years and years without really contributing to it. So yeah.
Okay. Could you tell us about your YouTube channel?
Well, what do you want to know? I started my YouTube channel in February. I only literally thought about making it in December last year. In December last year, I was like, I want to start a YouTube channel about counseling, because there's no information out there about it. And I've struggled to get to where I am. And so I decided to start a channel. My first video, I think in December, I think it was even November, I think I decided to start a channel. And then I put like a camera on my Christmas wish list. And I got a camera to start the YouTube channel. So I was like, ideally, I wasn't sure if I was going to get the camera. So I was like, maybe if I save up for it, I can start in February. So I'd already made up my mind to start in February because I was going through a lot of stuff and I ended up in hospital and stuff. So I couldn't even start sooner than February anyway. So I started it as a way of helping people who want to become counselors find different routes and understand how to get there. And I also created it to help created it to help the general public understand how counseling works and to break stigmas about counseling. So I created it to educate like the general public as well about concepts in counseling, what they might expect from counseling, how counseling works and things like that. So I also create videos like to do with psychology as well, because my psychology degree is very helpful and it was a big part in me becoming a counselor. So I occasionally make videos about psychology as well and psychological stuff. So it's mainly like counseling and psychology. So it's not just for counselors, but it's also for like potential clients and the general public. And I've had quite a lot of people message me and comment about how do I do this and how do I go about this? And, you know, I want to be a counselor. How do I do this? Is this course better than this? So I make videos based on just things I also want people to understand, things I wish I had known, but also things that people ask me about a lot of the time.
At this point, I let students have free for all. You can say what you want about what you like. You can say something smart, you can say something dumb. Literally, the floor is yours.
Something about me?
Anything. It's literally the floor is yours. You can say anything you want to say. Or you can say nothing.
I think I always tell people that I used to play the violin when I was younger, when I was in secondary school. And I kind of wish I'd carried on because then I'd be like a musical genius at something. And I kind of wish I had like a musical bone in my body or that my family was musical because I really admire musical people. And like I even tried to start learning how to play the guitar and that failed as well. I mean, I'm still telling myself I'm going to do it one day. But I don't know if I will. But yeah, I might even get back into playing the violin. Why not? So yeah, there's that. I'm a potential musical genius. Forget to like and subscribe. I'm plugged in.